check it. He's not. It's just what it is. What it is. There's only so many hours in a day. I'm starting. I got to cover this. I'm 7:30. Yeah, started. She just told me what it was. I said, okay, well, so I'm gonna pay my taxes. Yeah. Take that. Take it. Tell them that. Pay my taxes and I'm gonna pay my insurance on the house. Yeah. So that's probably good. I got to wear my running shoes. Years to go. Yep. Yep. Covers those costs. Don't got to worry about it. As long as you have enough tax bills, you don't have to worry about it. So any word on if they're going to get the no tax on Social Security? It's at the Senate now. They're crafting their bill. It's in that bill. The House passed it. It's in there. I haven't looked at it too closely because until they pass it. My financial she's wrong. I'd have to look at it. 45. She said under. We'll see. They've had some pushbacks. If it passed the House, it's the Senate. So the Senate does their own version and then maybe the middle. It's got so many fines that that's negatively affected. Well, because it's not just that they tax it, but that threshold that hasn't changed since the 80s. The equivalent is $80,000. We're talking like if you're single, it's $25,000, you make more than that. If you're married, it's 32. And if you make more than that, then your benefits become taxable. Partially. It's on a sliding scale. But that's the equivalent of $80,000. They've never increased that for 30 years. So people get the increases for cost of living, and that pushes them above that threshold that never changed. So now it's taxable towards the 401. So after they pay their tax, they're getting less. So, I mean, I got to think about it. I told my financial person, I'm paying a lot of income on taxes. So maybe it's not worth it. It's a percentage of your benefits. It's still worth it. It's, it could be better. It could be better. And then they adjust it every year. There used to be, you had to go down there and change it in person. I'm still paying it. You're talking about having the tax bill? No, the cost of living. No, not like that. But they adjust since I'm still paying it. I get an adjustment every year. It's nice you're still working. Yeah. It's not much, but, I look at my bank account. Paperwork probably comes. Yeah, they're a bit behind on process. I'm still waiting on some amended returns from last year. There's shortage of paperwork. I guess I'll go up this year a little bit. Yeah, as long as there's inflation too. There's always inflation. I don't think it's going to be massive. Banks
I don't know. He would know.
You got enough candy?
Are you hungry? I think you might start to spread it around.
All righty, let's go ahead and get started. Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Let's go ahead and, how about we do the prayer? This young man's going to do a prayer for us.
Good evening. Let's pray. Almighty and ever-living God, we do well always and everywhere to give you thanks and praise, and we're especially grateful for the gift of this night, this place, this gathering, and for the work that will be accomplished here. Look with favor and compassion upon all. Guide, guard, direct us in that which we are called upon to do and behave. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. All righty, a roll call.
Councilmember Morganelli,
Here.
Councilmember Hartle,
Here.
Vice Mayor Womack,
Here.
Mayor Wynkoop.
Here. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is mayor election proclamation, and I'm going to ask our favorite attorney if he would read that for us.
All right, it's the mayor's proclamation of the town of Montverde election. Notice is hereby given that pursuant to lawful authority, the town of Montverde, Florida, shall hold the general town election on Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, during the legal hours of voting 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Embrace Church, 17409 8th Street, Montverde, Florida, 34756. Said election voting shall be for the following three seats: council member, mayor, and also on the following referendum question: supermajority vote required to increase development densities. Shall the town of Montverde's charter be amended to require any ordinance amending the comprehensive plan that increases the allowable density within the municipal boundaries of Montverde be approved only by a majority plus one vote of the entire membership of the town council? Yes and no. Caucus for the election shall be held on Tuesday, August 12th at 6:30 p.m. in the Town Hall Auditorium at 17404 6th Street, Montverde, Florida, dated June 10th, 2025, by Joe Wynkoop, Mayor.
All righty, well, thank you very much. Okay, why don't we do this? The first thing we'll do is anybody that has anything they'd like to talk to the council about that's not on the agenda, why don't you come up now and we'll get this through and move on. Come on up.
My name is Mike Fearon at 17179 Ridgewood Avenue, and my son-in-law was just over visiting the butterfly garden and asked me to bring up what's going on to maintain it, because the fountain has got all kinds of green moss already a month later, and plants are dying and things are, so just asked me to bring that up and see what we could do as a town, maybe volunteers, or what the plan is for that to keep it going better.
You want to answer that, Paul?
Yeah, so just to let you know, we had a landscape crew out there over the weekend working on it and getting the weeds picked up, and Corey was actually working on it this afternoon. Most of the plants look like they're doing okay. There's a few struggling, which is natural in 1,000 plants. The reason the fountain, we haven't done anything with the fountain, we're still waiting for Duke to put the meter in. So we've been on the list for about 35, 40 days now. So
You'll have it pretty fixed up pretty quick here?
yes, they said it could be up to 90 days to get that done, but they said usually it's quicker.
All right, well, thank you for bringing it to our radar. Come on up, Mr. Banks.
Farmer Banks Helfrich, Clay Road District, South Lake County. Farm tip of the day: watermelons usually are in the soil now, growing. 3 hacks on the best to do with them while they're growing. When they're about a softball size, put cardboard underneath them. That will lift them off the ground, keep the pests away. Second thing is you can rotate them a little bit every couple of days. That also keeps pests away because you're out there with the actual plant. And the third thing is the vine that comes from the plant and the vine that goes to the actual watermelon. Where they intersect, there's a curlicue. When that curlicue is black, it's time to harvest the watermelon. Mayor, council, distinguished guests, in 2022, the Johns Hopkins University conducted a study to find out the highest cause of death in children in the United States. No, it is not drownings, it is not cancer, it is not even automobile accidents. The number one cause of death in children between the ages of 1 and 17 in the United States is firearms. So what do we do as a society, a civilization, as a community about that?
In 1965, Ralph Nader wrote a book, Unsafe at Any Speeds. This book brought awareness to the fatalities of car accidents. By 1968, the seatbelt was law. Since then, crumple zones, airbags, and also anti-lock brakes have been instituted into the manufacturing of cars. Ralph Nader has saved millions of lives, and he continues to do that to this day. So what is happening now? The City of Groveland Police Department offers courses in firearm safety and awareness. These are free courses for not only people who live in the city, also for people in the county. A.W. Peterson also offers courses in firearm safety. Of course, there's a cost with that. So I'd like to leave you with a question, and that is, who will be our generation's Ralph Nader? Because when you dig down deep enough, when you get to the core of it, no parent who has ever lost a child to a firearm incident wants another parent to ever have to experience that again. I am Farmer Banks Helfrich. May you all be blessed. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you for coming. All right, anybody else would like to talk to the council about something that's not on the agenda?
There's a severe thunderstorm issue this morning in the district of this area. I just saw.
Okay, everybody vote. Who wants to end the meeting now?
My dog would vote in favor of it. She will freak out.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you guys say that. The storm's blowing this way. Who's sitting here? Yeah, thanks a lot.
Well, Farmer Banks left, so I don't know. All right, well, let's try to get through this. Let's start with you, Paul, town manager's position.
Sorry, a second there. Just a couple things on the report. Just want to let the council know I think I reported I was going, but I did attend the Florida City Managers Association conference. It was a really good conference this year, and got a lot of good stuff out of it, and got my continuing education in for my ICMA credentialing. So appreciate the council affording me that opportunity to always improve. Wanted to let you know, just a matter of just record keeping. Our building inspections is done by Alpha Inspections, that we have a contract. They were sold, transferred, bought out, whatever you want to say, to Willdan. It was actually the same company who's doing our presentation on the impact fees. There's no changes to services. It's still the same group that does our inspections and run in the same management, so nothing's changed there. There's just a kind of a transfer of ownership. As they say, they now have better benefits. Mayor and I attended about a 2-hour meeting at Lake County. The county is having discussions on whether they want to go to a charter type county. I encourage all of our residents to look in and keep track on that. It has the potential to put a lot of power in a small group of people, but it also, we just want to know what's going on as a city, because it could impact our town and what we do as far as legislation. We're still learning about it, getting some more information, but it's something our residents do need to watch going forward. And last, that's all I have till my capital ones. So.
All righty, thank you very much. All right, let's move on to our town attorney.
You want me to do the capital update one?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
If it would real quick. Just real quick, I just go down all the capital projects so everybody's kind of up to date what's going on. On the library, nothing too much more has happened. We're just at the point we're getting cabinets made. They're custom cabinets, so we've had a few more installed and some tops, and once that process is done, then we'll be to the point of carpeting for the library. Library emergency generator is in design phase right now. That should be covered by a grant. We'll have that authorization hopefully pretty soon. Nothing is going on in the outdoor park and bathroom at the moment. We're just waiting to get a septic permit for that. The small storage water tank and pump house, as you guys know, the water tank's up. We just got the permit approved to put the pump house next to it last week, so we'll start getting the prices put together so we can get that installed. Nothing, major cost. It's already in the budget on that. Thank you. Butterfly Garden was cleaned this weekend and gone through. That is a part of a bid we have going out for landscaping services. I know the council's probably saw the landscaping bid that went out, so we have that included to assist. We do have a large group of volunteers that are stepping up that would like to help because we still have more plants that could be put in there that will be getting in the near future. Sandy was actually able to get a grant. I don't remember who it's from, I apologize, but Sandy was able to get a grant to actually we're going to get several $100s worth of free plants for the butterfly garden. Let's see, fire station, community building we talked about at the last meeting. Fire station, I did get an email from the director, Mr. Kilberry, this afternoon. They said they're progressing along. The town has approved the permit for them. It still has not been paid as of yet. They just got approval at the last meeting to remove the additional tortoises that have arrived on site. They were at 17, now it has grown to 24 tortoises, so they did get that approved at the last county meeting. Ridgewood Avenue, we sent out notices to the neighbor. We should start on those sidewalks and ADA ramps. We're shooting right for the 1st of July. We had a little bit of delay just waiting on survey and getting everything finalized with the county for the permit on that. Porter and First Street, that's in design phase. Nothing new on the boat ramp. Truscott Park, nothing new to report on that from last time. Nothing new on 455 Storm Street project, still in planning stage. Same with 8th, 9th, and Temple, just out there in kind of a future planning stage. Well number 1, generator replacement. As I mentioned last time, we're at the last state place with FEMA for a 80% grant, 20% match for that generator replacement for well number 1.
Is there another slide?
Yep, sorry. Thank you. Elevated storage tank, nothing new, so we're waiting on state to approve the planning study for our grant. Same with the redundant upper well and the lower Floridian well, just waiting on the state. Consumptive use permit, so we do have some updates on that. Our engineering team was able to get another extension from St. John's Water Authority to November. They have sent another request for information, and they want a full modeling done and also a full alternative irrigation supply source study done, which is a really expensive study done. So they want us to look at all the alternatives and the costs and everything involved in that. So Woodward Current's going to come with an addendum to the engineering for that phase, probably here at the next meeting to complete that for that consumptive use permit. Let's see. The water line's upsizing, so they're still in design. I know they have been working right now. The area they've been working around has been Roundabout in Ridgewood on how to get that pipe down there. So I visit with them this week on that, on some design ideas on that. So that's in the design phase. And I believe that's all I have on capital projects. Does anyone have any questions for me?
When are they all going to be done?
I'm shooting for the end of the month, but we'll, no.
Okay. All righty. Thank you very much.
A lot of things in the pipeline for the town.
Yeah, that's for sure. All righty.
And I did provide the grant tracking worksheet, which is up there. As you guys can see, it's in your town manager report, so you can look at that at your convenience. That's just so you can follow what's pending, what's been reimbursed, and things along that line. So that is in your booklets.
Alrighty.
And also the Lake County Fire Rescue. I apologize. There we go.
Town Attorney Anita's out for today, and we have this young gentleman. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. I'm Sandy Minkoff. I am quasi-retired. I was the county attorney for a few years. I fill in for Anita every once in a while when she has to travel. In terms of a report, you have in your packet a written memo to you regarding the limitation of sod, that the provision only applies to new development, and including infill as well, but not to existing development. And I have no other report.
All righty. Well, thank you very much. Let's go ahead to our planner.
So reporting as your planner, nothing to report other than Nita and I will sit down with Paul over the next couple weeks. We'll look and analyze to see what was done, the damage was done from legislation, and how that might change land development codes and comp plan requirements and things. So we'll start going through all that here pretty soon. Other than that, pretty standard zoning clearance requests coming in and other applications as well.
Do you want to add anything to the charter stuff?
Okay, so I can report now as your commissioner, and I will say that Sandy did a wonderful job for us as attorney for Lake County. Namely, too, I'd like to report that he brought Melanie up kind of under his tutelage, and Melanie's been awesome for us at the county. So we appreciate your service, Sandy. Good to see you. So yes, we have a series of workshops ongoing. Everybody needs to be aware of. I think I announced these a month or two ago at least once or twice at these meetings. A series of growth management related workshops that we've been having. Who's heard of? You seen advertisements for those? A couple of you maybe. Oh wow, we got more work to do, I guess. Go to our Facebook for Lake County or our website, and you'll get all this information that I'm going to just repeat to you very quickly. Obviously, growth management is top of mind as an issue for everyone right now. We have started a series of workshops. We had one last week, which was the first one that was on the charter issue that was brought up as something to charter county issue. Was something that was brought up as maybe could be of interest for the county because of the annexation of cities into rural areas. So that's sort of how that discussion came up. This charter is a very complicated issue. It can often take many years to go through that. There's a lot of just things that we need to think about if that's what's going to really happen in the county. So, very good workshop. I think it's just purely in discussion mode right now, if you will, at the county. I'm just speaking for myself. I certainly want to listen to what the cities think about going in the direction of a charter county. I personally think there's a lot of things that we can do to address growth without having a charter. Some tools that are available to us right now, obviously like joint planning agreements and getting all 14 cities with the county to do a meaningful joint planning agreement, kind of like what the town is doing, which would be the second. Groveland's already done one. Montverde should be the next to go ahead and formalize a joint planning agreement to start talking about how to better address these growth and forcing the conversation to happen between staff at the county and staff at the cities. We had the second one today. This was at the Lake County Agricultural Center. We went over. We are changing our comprehensive plan. We're not doing year-based amendments like you just did last month. We're actually redoing our whole comprehensive plan. It's that time again. It's been 20 years. So it's a very extensive process for us, and there's going to be a lot of workshops. So go to that lakecountyfl.gov growth / lakecountyfl.gov growth, I think is the address. There's going to be a lot of workshops that are going to come up in South Lake in the evening. That we'll have those in the evening. Normally we meet in the afternoons, in the mornings and in the afternoons. But we're going to have workshops that will be held in the evening, some in South Lake, as we go through changing our comprehensive plan. Next, the following week on the 23rd of June, I want to invite you all to the Agricultural Summit that I think I talked about before. We're going to talk about why there are loss of agricultural lands in Lake County. It's not uncommon throughout Florida, and perhaps what other policies and things that we could put in place and that would encourage keeping agricultural lands, working lands in Lake County. Very complicated issue. We're going to hear a lot about regulations. We have the Agricultural Commissioner Simpson. Yes, Mr. Agricultural Commissioner Simpson will be there, so that's a pretty big presenter, as well as Senator True now I think will be there as well. So I encourage you to attend that, and then on June 30th we are going to have a roundtable with the county and all county commissioners in all cities, at least one elected official from each city, the city manager. We're going to talk about JPAs. That meeting will be held in Leesburg at 1:30, Leesburg Venetian Center, and want to encourage people to come to that as well. There's a survey online at lakecountyfl.gov /growth that you can participate in. If you don't want to go to anything, but you just want to weigh in, go to that website, do the survey. We've had 700 responses in 1 week. 700 individual, we know this with technology, individual responses. That's amazing. It usually takes 700 responses in a year. This was in 1 week. So encourage you to participate on that as well. That's all I've got to report.
I had a
Now,
question.
go back to the charter meeting. The two problems that I understood that we're trying to address is that the cities, when they annex in property, they're not following the future land use that the county designated, right?
Correct. There have been occasions where, yes, into rural areas, where you have, it's different if you have a similar density land use in the county and the city's right next to it, abuts up to it, and then they want to annex. That's different than what is being talked about as a concern where you have a county rural area or a county that has a one unit per 5 acre designation, and then a city's going to annex it in and do 2 units per acre, which is not rural. So that's how that started the discussion of charter county. Personally, I think there's probably ways to address that without being a charter county, with joint planning agreements, perhaps an urban growth boundary, which is there's a statute for that as well. It may not work here, but it's something to look at.
And then the other thing was the roads.
Yeah, that's going to be a big discussion on the June 30th will be roads, because $710 million deficit on trying to catch up on all the roads in Lake County. Heard me throw that number out. Current funding sources will never get us there. For 30 years we'll be talking about why aren't all the roads funded if things don't change. So we're going to talk about on the 30th about what the cities and the county can do together to start knocking off some of these road projects that are on the list, because what's frustrating is when you all go to a Lake Sumter MPO meeting and you see a project that's on the list of priority projects and it's sitting there, and we all think, everybody in the public thinks that it's going to get funded and get done, and it keeps sitting on that list year after year after year after year. Well, what we know is what we've learned, especially this year when we're redoing our long-range transportation plan, which we have to do every 5 years, is if we start committing more money locally, both between cities and county, the projects actually become cost feasible. The state is looking for that. The state has a lot of federal and state money dedicated towards roads. These are your bigger strategic intermodal system roads, like your Highway 27s, Highway 50, some of your arterial roads. Now with new legislation, we can add our county roads to that list as well for potential dollars from the state and the Fed. But the catch is we have to commit more money to that. Because why are they going to give us money when we show no commitment? I mean, it's one thing to put it on the list, but if it's another thing to actually commit to it. So people ask, for instance, why the Groveland interchange, I call it the interchange, the bypass really is the right term, why that got moved up on the list is because the city themselves agreed to commit $10 million to that project.
Wow.
So that's how that moved up to the list, obviously to right to number 1. How is Harwood Marsh Road at Lake County getting done? I mean, I know we've been trying to get it done for 10 years, but recently now that's being moved up because the county's committing more money to that. So that's what we're going to go over on June 30th is road funding agreements between cities and the county jointly to do that. Committing more general fund dollars, committing penny sales tax potentially, asking for developer agreements up front before those projects are done, so like we did in Wellness Way. Those were all funded before and paid by the developers before. So going through those kinds of things, which you would think maybe had been done in the past, and they weren't for whatever reason. And that's what the advantage of joint planning agreements is, that you can put that in writing, and it becomes very a formal process that the city and the cities and the counties have to do every year.
And they can measure.
And you can measure,
Right.
correct? Yeah.
Okay. No, I think you guys are heading in the right direction. We went, and I personally led the JPA process.
Yeah, I think the JPA is definitely a way to go. Now, when JPAs are approved, just the heads up. Yes, it's a really big day, and you'll see me celebrating. But it doesn't mean that the following day everything's going to be perfect. It takes a lot of time for all this to work out now. So, I'm going to have to give it some time.
Paul, is this something that we can add to the website? The links that he had mentioned?
I mean, we can't, they're just all on the front page of the county website. So right now, if you go to Lake County website, everything's on the front
Could we
page.
put them on the Facebook, the town Facebook then, for residents to know?
Yeah, most definitely. I think we can. That would be good.
That we get them more involved?
Yeah, especially the schedule. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go on to town council. How about Joe?
Okay, that was fast. Now, where are my notes at? No. All right, so one of the questions I had was in reference to the golf cart resolution. That sort of just disappeared, and I was wondering if we might be able to bring that back up again. We remember talking about that one. I don't know, we were going to bring it back, I think, for discussion or vote, and we never really did, so I just thought I'd ask about it.
We didn't finish that one?
The golf cart resolution that we had.
Didn't we finish it?
No.
Well,
We said
I
we
thought
would
we
discuss
finished.
it more.
Sorry, we had it as a ordinance coming through, and I think the council agreed not to move forward. They wanted to have some more discussion on it in the future, and I think council mentioned they want to kind of talk to some more residents first and kind of get some feeling on it. So the golf cart ordinance would basically allow golf cart use anywhere in town where a 30-mile-an-hour or less zone is. And so there was some discussion about, you know, is that safe? Do we want to do that? So that's kind of where it left off. So I could definitely put it as a, I don't want to bring it back at this point as a ordinance because we need some more clarity what to do with it. But if the council would like to discuss it, you just need to kind of be prepared, I guess, and get some thoughts on it. I'll be glad to bring it back at any time. That's what council did want to do with it. So I just kind of need to know from council if that's something you want now or later, I guess, kind of thing. Or do you
So
want
right now you can't go on 455, you can only cross 455.
You can cross it, but you can't drive on it. Same with Ridgewood.
Well, you guys want them to bring it back and, I don't know. I don't know about July.
Probably bring it after, right after we get through at least the draft of the budgets, maybe August.
Yeah.
That could be time to maybe visit with everybody and.
That work?
Would that work for everybody?
That good?
Okay.
Okay, if you would, please. All righty.
I had handled council a four-page document here in reference to, well, let me back up. I had asked, so residents are aware, I had asked Paul at the previous meeting to give a report to council, which he did in reference to highway patrol. And it's broken down from October till May. So I sort of took that report and show it a little bit, I guess. You guys won't be able to see it, but you can somewhat there. So I sort of, this is for council, this is more for a budget discussion coming up. So I looked at the different officers. Everyone is blurred out as well. The officers' names are all blurred out. And the third page was a Excel sheet that I created and broke it down into averages. Considering we're paying $75 an hour for Florida Highway Patrol, there was, and I talked to Paul a little bit, there was one particular officer, I'm not going to mention name or anything. I guess what I'm sort of asking council here is, what exactly, I mean, when we're looking at Florida Highway Patrol, what's your perception of what they should be doing? Meaning, should they be doing tickets, driving around the town? In general, we had, and the reason I'm mentioning it is there was the one officer that it's cost us almost $10,000, and he's written 5 tickets, one of which was, I believe, all of this year, if you went from January out, which averages out to a cost of almost $2,000 per ticket. So I'm not saying, I'm not up here to say we don't need them. I'm a huge supporter of them. It's, for me, it's a discussion item for our budget. When we get to a budgeting process, it just, to decide, I know there's been discussion in reference to maybe increasing their, what we're spending for them. I just sort of look at it and I'm curious to hear from you guys when we do budget, what do you guys envision them doing? I mean, personally for me, it's more of a speeding issue than just driving around the back roads of our town. But again, that's just my opinion. So that's, anyway, that's what you guys have in front of you. The last page was also like a pie chart that I broke down on every officer. So that was that.
My first thing or thought here would be, I wish this would have had the days of the week and the times of the day, because those are big factors on how many tickets they do. Like Sunday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning, it's pretty easy to give 50 motorcycles a ticket. Unfortunately,
Absolutely. Again, I based what I had just on what the data that I received, which was hours,
Yeah.
miles, stops. That's all I really.
it's a start.
So,
It's
yeah.
definitely a start.
I mean, again, I can easily throw that in there, but either way, it still breaks it down
Mhm.
totals. So it's just like I said, that's what that was, and I handed it to you guys.
Okay. Anybody got any questions? Alan?
I'm good.
Carol?
Yeah.
Go ahead and study it and we can talk about it some more.
And then I asked Paul, I spoke with Paul about this one. I asked him for contracts. He had wanted me to ask you guys if you want, which I'm not sure as to why, but you guys would like copies of them as well, but again, if you don't want them, that's up to you guys. I wanted them, so.
Contracts for,
For contract employees. And
do you mean all the contracts we have? I'm not sure.
parks,
What- Oh, like,
parks,
did you give us specific ones?
I just sort of summed it up. I didn't want to, I'm not trying to pick on anybody in particular. I'm just sort of, in general, I'm just trying to get my head around them all because we're coming into budget, and that was why I wanted to do that. So I want them, which is, but again, he had wanted me to ask if you guys wanted them for whatever reason. I don't know.
Well, just to clarify the email that was sent, you said you'd like a copy of all the contracts and to be given to all the council members. So I didn't want to preemptively give them to the council members if they don't want to do that. So that's why you should probably see if all the council members would like those. I don't have no problem giving them to you, obviously, but I just didn't want to preemptively give them 3,000 pages of contracts or whatever. There's probably exaggeration, but a couple hundred pages of contracts if they don't want them. And is there specific ones you want to look at, or do you want everything?
For me, I personally don't. This is my 20th time doing them, so I'm familiar with them. So,
It's my lessons, my learning lessons.
you guys, if you want to have them, it's up to you.
It's information. I wouldn't mind looking at it.
Okay.
But if nobody, so that would be like 2 copies if.
Do you want them, Alan?
I like to glance at them. I don't think I need to sit there and spend 12 hours in a lazy boy with coffee reading every verbiage of it. I just want a kind of an overview is what I'd like to see. Just an idea of what we're doing, but I'm not in the high weeds per se.
Okay, so you got three.
Okay.
Alrighty.
In reference to this, in terms of the highway patrol, has this information been passed back up the line? His supervisor's aware?
No, this is just, this is just for us right now to discuss. That's all I put it together for.
So you got to remember the FHP officers come here on their off duty
I got it.
and pretty much like it here. So I would hate to chase them away, so be careful what you ask for. Because they got plenty of easy jobs on the turnpike instead of pulling people over in Mount Vernon.
I am not interested in chasing them away.
And I would say just understand, and at my direction too, from direction of past council, is, it's the goal of having law enforcement in town is not to write tickets to everybody who comes through town. Why that's a huge priority. But I've also been asked to make sure the side roads get patrolled, that we have visibility. Because last year during the summer we had burglaries, a couple burglaries that floated around. We had some, issues with some nefarious people going through town. So the one officer doesn't write a lot of tickets. He's the guy that likes to patrol around. The next one that doesn't, he's got the dog, and so he looks for cars that, I won't say, he looks for opportunities, I guess, or some things where arrests will be made and keeping the drug traffic down. So they serve different purposes is all I'm getting at. So I haven't been, overly writing them one way or another. We can't legally make a quota say you have to write X amount of tickets. That's against state statute, so don't assume that. But we do got, I think, a really good group. Some could be more aggressive, obviously. Some probably I get complaints are too aggressive. So you just kind of, it's a mix, but it's hard to get them. Like Peter, our newest one, it took us, I think, 4 months to get him on board. There's a process.
I could say that I got pulled over, and he honestly didn't know that I was mayor. He was a new guy, and he gave me a warning. I gave him the ticket. I didn't say nothing. I gave him my license. I didn't say nothing. He came back and gave me a warning. So I don't know if the warnings get.
They're in here, and I broke those down as well, per hour and per mile.
Huh?
Were you speeding?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So this report is not to justify anything. It's just the numbers.
Information.
It's just data. That's all.
It's
I love
information.
data. So when I look at this, for me, data, and again, for me, when I look at it, the one number that stood out to me was, like I said, $2,000 per ticket on average. That's what we're paying for that. And I get it. He drives around the back roads, and I'm not saying we don't need that, but I mean, one ticket in 6 months, that's, to me, is a little, anyway.
Well, I have to look at it from a 10,000-foot elevation. I remember before we had them, and we had Lake County would just say, flash your lights and say, hey, slow down, buddy. And they, by the time they're in through town, they're doing 55, 60. And I remember sitting on council with Jim Lay and Billy Bates, and we were just like, how are we going to do this? Because we were fighting with the sheriff about, we control, and the mayor was saying, no, we control. And to me, it's been a night and day difference. And from that point of view, the 10,000-foot view looking down, I see nothing but really, it's been a nice thing to have here. I haven't been pulled over yet, but I was pulled over for a headlight that was out at 3 o'clock in the morning. I didn't realize it was out, and it was nice to know before I got on the turnpike and somebody got a little bit more ugly or so. But everybody's been nice that I've talked to. Nobody likes the blue light behind him. It's like, great, that's great, got one. No, but I think the residents feel, from my input back, that they like seeing a black and tan driving through the neighborhood, especially when it's not 8 to 5 and not this hour. They can show up anytime and go, hey, there goes a trooper through my, no, that was kind of neat to see him, So, and we've had problems, and we will continue to have problems with people who don't want to obey the law and like to do horrible things to residents and so forth. So I'm positive on it.
I don't think Joe's saying to get rid of it. I think he wants us to see if we can improve it some way or another. Wouldn't you say that?
I think so.
That's it. That all it is just
Because we
data.
all know better,
It's
we
just
don't
data.
want to get rid of it.
No.
But to improve it might be an option. Okay.
It's just data in a different,
But their
different
presence
type of
is
format.
nice to see,
That's it? You all done? You got any more? Okay. Carol, you have anything?
No, just a couple of notes real quick on the park. With the rain, we still have the irrigation running, and there are mushrooms popping up everywhere. And if you can talk to the guys to get them to put the entrance, cut the silt fence so that there is access to the trail on Lakeside Drive, the right across from Doris, the little paved area. Shake your head like you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, the pave area is covered?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we can get that fixed.
And ants. I don't know what we do about ants, but yeah. They'll eat you alive over there. And that is that.
That's it?
Yes, sir. That's
Okay,
it.
thank you. Alan?
Yeah, I got two things. Butterfly garden, as a citrus person, there is a monarch butterflies like to lay their larvae and they become what's called orange dogs. And orange dogs are the pupa that feed on citrus leaves. They like young citrus leaves and they gobble them up like a grasshopper do. And I had noticed over there on several occasions on the 4 citrus trees we've got anywhere from small to ½ inch, up to 2-inch size. So it's telling me that our monarchs are enjoying our monarch butterfly garden and they're making it to their best advantage, which I think that's pretty cool to see that, I think. Another thing I wanted to bring up, a little while back, I think 2 months ago, Daniel Webster sent out a newsletter, and in that newsletter, he mentioned 3 outstanding people that are going into the military academy. And all three of them attended Montverde Academy, and I missed this. This was the day after our council meeting, but there is an Aiden Henley who is going to United States Naval Academy, and I think that's pretty cool that we have 3 in our town. They may not be our residents, but they are representing our town and their values. There's Shane Verna and William Hung that are going to West Point, and from what I can remember, Our Naval Academy wants to be an air pilot in aviation, so he wants to get into that. I think William Hong wants to get into cybersecurity, and Mr. Verna wants to go through go through the flight academy with the military. So we've got one Naval Academy and two West Pointers. And when I was in high school, that was quite an accomplishment. If you were back in the 70s and 60s, you had to get a congressional, and your congressman could only do, you know, 2 people. And I thought that was pretty cool that these are in our own town, and I feel bad that for some reason at 10,000 feet it flew right over me and didn't even pay attention to it. But I think Montverde Academy, these 3 young gentlemen are to be commended to want to choose a career of this, serving our country in a very admirable way. And number 1, also to be academically smart enough, because one of our locals in Claremont went to West Point, and he told me that summer, he wrote me a letter. He said, I thought calculus and Mr. Hobeck's class at Claremont High School was horrible. It's like, gosh, I thought I was going to die. So it's really a tough thing to do. And once they finish there, then they have to go through boot camp and all that good stuff. So they got a long road ahead of them, and I commend them, and I commend the Academy for turning out some 3 outstanding young men to do that. So that's what I wanted to share. And kudos to those 3 in the Academy. So too bad Brad's not here to take it back to him, but hopefully it'll get back to the Academy that we're proud of them in Montverde. So,
How many NBA players we have?
In the draft next week, 4.
That's pretty strong too.
That's close to 30.
Yep. There you go. All righty, that's
you
it.
know, I think maybe Montverde Academy ought to start its own NBA team, because they could probably do better than the Magic. I mean, it'd be like, you know, great, you know. That would put us on the map, yeah.
When you seek donations from them, tell them to remember the town too.
All righty, well, thank you very much. I got a few things. So, the League of Cities meeting is coming up. I believe it's in August, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's
if
in
you-
Orlando this year?
It's in Orlando this
Yes.
year, so
At
it's
Signet.
really easy to attend. I would highly recommend that the council attends the League of Cities. And I did a couple of them, and it's very good to attend. And you don't have to go down to South Florida this year, it's right here. So it's a little easier. I think everybody that's gone to them would agree. Another thing, I have a friend that's bugging me to bring this to the council. There's different apps that cities are using for, and I'm sure Paul's already looked at it, so that's why I'm bringing it up, for notifying the cities of certain things. One of them is Suave Citizen, and it's $2,000 a year, so it's not real expensive. And it's moving us into, you know, the iPhone and communicating more with the phones, and anything that has to do with the city at all, anything. And then you would get a notice just like you do on any other app. And I saw it work at another city, and I'm not Suave at all, but it looked pretty good. And I thought if you guys are interested in it, we would ask Paul to, when he has time in between that list he just showed us, maybe to look at it, or maybe delegate it to one of his more capable people to look at it. What do you think? I mean, have you looked at those?
Yeah, actually, I attended a couple conferences on
There you go.
all the new stuff. Actually, 2 meetings at my city manager, and everything from full AI service counters to different apps and controls that are making things a little easier to use. And so yeah, and I know council has asked, you know, for improvements on the website. So I'm definitely going to, as soon as I get some time, I want to kind of take a big round look at all these and kind of see if there's an option and see what's the best method to communicate better with the operational staff we got. So I'm definitely open
What's
to that.
it, iTech can probably help you, right? And ask them to give you a hand.
There, yeah, but that probably wouldn't be. We have some people that can help us with
Okay,
it, so
all right.
so yeah, we definitely do.
I just wanted to bring it up because you know, even if it takes months, that's fine. I just want to kind of have it out there.
Well, Mr. Morganelli, do you know a few local communities that are already implementing such a thing? Yes?
I was gonna ask you the same thing, because you had said something like back in November, I think,
It's
and I don't remember the city. I don't know if it was Does Groveland?
I think you brought up Groveland, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I
I'd
think
have to go back
Groveland
to my
does.
notes. I can look at my
That-
notes. I have them.
Same. But yeah, definitely we want to check into it and look at moving forward with that.
Yeah, there is a lot of neat stuff different cities are doing from technology-wise. And just gotta, obviously gotta find that balance that works for a small town, but we don't have to do them all, but we could find what works for Montverde to better have access. And we've done, we really over the last 2 years just getting all of our permitting online and code complaints online, and we've been going that direction. And we've just redone our accounting software, so it's more user-friendly and payments online. So this is the next natural step, to really try to get these communication pieces working together now with everything.
Like you said, you just saw it in the meeting you just went to. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure Elon's going to have a walking robot here that'll come to your house to help you pretty soon, so it's on the way.
Okay. What else we got? I wanted to bring back up what we talked about in our last meeting about that person that emailed us and told us that we weren't communicating properly. Remember?
Yeah.
What was that talking? What was that person, they wanted an AUD or something like that? And they didn't, I can't remember her name. But anyway, Paul put that little thing together that he did showing the communications, and I want to make sure that we're all okay that we did communicate with this person. So I want more or less for you and you guys that you saw that we, our people did communicate with this young lady that was trying to get this AUD thing completed. She ran into another issue that's a whole another policy thing, but the communication itself was done, because I don't want our residents to go home saying we're not communicating with them. So that just putting that on the table. And then on the grant sheet that we're doing, can you add, when Maya has time, can you have her, or if everybody agrees that's what you want to do, I want to put year-to-date spend.
This sheet here?
Hmm?
This sheet here, or which sheet are you talking about? The one that's up on the board?
Yeah, this one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you like on it?
Well, I see contractor pending reimbursement request. That means we spent that money, right?
So yeah, pending request means it's spent, so we're waiting for the paperwork to clear, so we got to have the checks and the matching documentation, then submit it pending request, so that's in the queue with the granting organization, whether that's Lake County Department of Environmental Protection, then an amount reimbursed is then what we have physical cash that's come back to the town.
Okay, yeah. The contractor pending reimbursement request, that's going to be what we spent, and we're putting together to bill, right, to submit?
Yeah, so that's money that has been spent but has not been turned in for reimbursement.
So but what I'm getting at now is there's a couple steps in that column that I'm thinking, would it be worth our time to separate those? Say, okay, let's take the second one, $1 million, remaining in the grant is 20 million. Or 20,000, and you got 452,000 submitted. That 452 is going to be money that we spent and money that we're putting together, the information we need to submit. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
it's two different things. That's
they are. So the submitted pending, that's been spent and turned in for reimbursement. Then the contracts pending reimbursement. So those are money that has been spent, but it has not been turned into the grant authority for reimbursement. So basically that's money spent that we haven't sent in for reimbursement yet. Then the one on the left, that's remaining after whatever the bills have been paid on that.
Right.
And in your council book, it's under the library section, I have the more detailed breakdown. That's literally, penny by penny to the contractors. So you have that more detailed version.
I could go back and forth on it, but let me just get with you later.
Yeah, so I'll get with you, and we can maybe put this as a discussion
I'm not
item. Go over
communicating it correctly.
Okay. Yep.
Let me do that.
I'm not following it either.
Yeah, let me get it set up with Paul, because it's a little hard to follow right now for me to explain it. But I just want to broke up more. That's what it said, and see if you guys would agree to that. What else? Okay.
And it might just be doing different terminology on there. I'm
Could
just
be.
using the grant
Mhm.
terminology, but it's basically total money we have, total money left, total money we spent but haven't turned in to get reimbursed, the money that's been turned into being reimbursed that we're waiting to get the refund back, then the money that we've gotten back from the agencies. So it's just showing you where the money's at the different stages. So at the end of the day, all three of those are the total money that's spent. All three of the right columns has been spent, and what's left is on the next column there, the remaining grant money, if that makes a little more sense.
Yeah, but the third column is different for me, and I think it would take too much to go through it
Okay,
right
that's
here. But
I have a question.
Let me get with you some in a week or something.
I'd like to go back to that ADU.
Mhm,
Well, you just
okay.
talked about that a little
Yep.
bit. So I guess I'll concede the fact that, yes, I do believe that it was less time than I originally, thought it was. However, there still was a breakdown of the process in reference to the checklist. So I do think that
That's the procedure part of it. Yeah,
Right.
Right. And I agree that got a little weird.
Right.
And it was mostly because it was a,
self-build. They were
right,
building.
someone building their own home, GCing it themselves. Where you GC, they know that. But the communication problem seemed to be okay. When he did the homework on it. And I was happy to see that.
No, I
Yeah.
do appreciate seeing
I
that
see that
as well.
Mhm. Okay. Good. All right, let me keep moving here.
One other question,
Yep.
Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Mr. Minkoff, I was going to say thank you for being here and welcome you. I skipped that, so my apologies on that. You are adequately filling in Nita's spot, so I'm going to welcome you to the town of Montverde and hope you had a good meal. Missed that, I'm sorry.
And come anytime you want. All right, let's go. The beginning balance was $6,108,478.35. Ending balance was $4,195,583.67 in our account.
Mr. Mayor,
Mhm.
just something you brought up last meeting. So this amount now includes all the money that has been reimbursed to Lake County from the ARPA funds. So
The what?
everything has been reimbursed from the ARPA fund account to Lake County.
How much was that, like 1.7?
Yeah, the first one was 2.2, then 1.7 on the second end. We were able to recover 500,000 from DEP, so we were able to give the county more
That was
money
on
back
top.
than what we spent on top. Correct.
Okay. Excellent. All right, let's move on. I guess the visiting committee's here.
Consent agenda first, Mayor, if we could.
Oh, I'm sorry. We got to approve everything on the consent agenda, and it's just one thing, right? The minutes for the town meeting of May 13th, 2025. Need a motion to approve or not?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as so presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. All right, move on to you guys.
You guys can all come up.
Yeah, come on up.
Do I have to state my name and everything?
Could you guys introduce yourselves?
Okay, yeah, I'm Connie Cyber, 17651 9th Street, Montverde. They elected me chairman, so I'm chairman of our little visioning committee we're working on a playground equipment for the park.
I am Kalina Myers, 17313 2nd Street, Montverde, and I've been on the visioning committee for the past year and a half.
Cynthia Velasco, I'm the secretary of the subcommittee, 15227 Willow Ridge Drive, Montverde.
All right.
Okay, we were tasked with coming up with new playground equipment for next door for the upper age children, like the 7 to 12, 5 to 12. We have the playground equipment over there now, but it's geared more towards toddlers, and the swing set has the little toddler seats. We went a swing set where, if you're 12, you can get on and play without breaking it. So we came up, I think y'all got a packet, Paul said. Oh, it's all, okay. That's what we came up with. Okay. That's one of the options. We have two options. The one where we would like to have one with a sunshade. That one. Yeah, that's the one we want. Okay, we started out with a company that would put it in for us for 300,000. Sorry. But we got them down to 282. And with some further work, we can get them down to 234. Yeah, that's our proposal up there. So we're just presenting it to you to see what the council thought. We were given a budget of 245,000. So if we did get it down to 234,000, but that's with the EWF, which is the fiber mulch. What we would really like to have, if sky's the limit, is we'd like what you see the blue area. That's the rubber mulch, which is the ADA compliant. You see the wheelchair on it. We'd really like to have that, but it's very expensive. So, do you have any questions for us?
In real council, just a little background. In the fiscal year 2025 budget, council approved 242,000 up to 242 for the playground. So the vision committee started looking into the options. One of the highlights was, which we really need. We don't have any handicap accessible playground in the town, so that's something that they looked at. So that's why they're bringing a little bit. We can put a playground in, spend a little bit more. We can get half the playground with the rubber mat. For the kids, and for about 50,000 more, 350, they can do the entire playground. So the ultimate would be 350 if that's something you wanted to go, but there's money for what's in the budget, and then if you wanted to use some of our cash balance, you can obviously do that as well. Consider long-term maintenance too, no weeds, no pulling, no mulch replacement too. That's the other advantage of doing a playground, but that's only my 2 cents. I know that's what we're getting at. And could you guys just real quick describe some of the features in the playground for the council, and then I'll let them ask you the questions of kind of number of swings and what you're trying to put in there.
Okay, yeah, we have, I'll just start with the swing sets. We have the 4 swings. We have 2 handicap accessible swings, and then the one on the end, it's called a flex swing. And it was just something fun we thought to throw in there. We also have the center climbing console with the sunshade. We all really wanted the sunshade. We live in Florida. For our kids, and the center is climbing ropes and mats, and then it has a slide that comes down, and there's also I don't remember all the names of all the. Do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. Part of my interest in being on this committee is I have a 10-year-old son, and we're new to Montverde, so I really wanted to help create something that would be exciting and something that would be of interest to him and other kids in his age group. So oftentimes we go to Cherry Lake Park, but we'd love to come to Kirk Park and be able to have our afternoon fun group visits over here. So we've got a zip line, we've got the lolly ladder, I think it's called. We've got the boogie board. We've got these little wobble. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong page. Wobble stools. And then we've also got. Do you remember what these were called? I can't recall the cute little names they have for everything here. But the goal is just to make it a really fun, inviting, exciting, adventurous place for kids that don't have that currently here in Montverde for that older age group.
I also just wanted to clarify too, when you see the drawing, the blue is the solid surface, and then the brown is mulch. So we have the option of doing half and half, like you see, all mulch, which was the lower number that she quoted you, or we could go the whole solid surface, which for maintenance would be amazing. And so that's where you get the higher number. We'd be closer to 350, and we'd be as low as 234 if we went all mulch.
I think Montverde Academy might chip in some money.
No.
Do we know where in the park this is going to go?
Yes, from the fire hydrant over to the old stage to where the ballpark used to be, over there. But there's a fire hydrant right at the end of the trees, and where the old stage used to be, the pavilion.
The old stage, but I can't picture the.
So
on this side, of it.
The back side of the stage.
It's center field and right field.
Okay.
Left field.
That I got.
No, right, yeah. Center field, you're right.
Okay.
And we had a site visit with the contractor. She was able to come out and really walk through it with us, kind of envision what we were thinking. Most likely, we would connect a sidewalk from the old pavilion to the ADA accessible area as well. And the quote includes installation, everything, from start to.
Yeah, but she said it would take approximately 7 months to 10 months, depending on whether we do the rubber mulch or the other mulch. But it's not a 5-minute project. It's a month project.
Nothing's 5 minutes, yeah.
So I guess we'll have to bring this to our budget meetings and talk about it.
So we currently do have I have to pull that up again, 242,000 in this year's budget. So we can definitely do the smaller one. If you want to do the increased one, it would require a budget amendment, or you can roll the money from this year's budget in next year and add some more money to next year's. Either way.
And would you say we would draw the extra general funds?
What's that? Yes,
Yeah.
it would have to be out general. I believe we used, I believe we've used all of our impact fee funds for parks as of now. It could come out of future impact, but no guarantee that would be there, but you can pull it out of future impact fees, the extra. But right now it's a combination of general funds out of parks and impact fees for parks as well.
And what did your 10-year-old say when you showed him all this equipment?
He loved it. He thought it was rad.
Question, have you seen any of this actually in a park somewhere? Do they have anything locally that says Maitland has something, go look at our stuff in their facility?
Yeah, they did give us a list of places to go see, but Alan, I have to tell you, I haven't had time to go look at them.
They've done it.
But they have,
Like item
they're a local
Like
company, yeah.
Horizon West.
the county,
Yeah, they've done a lot of it.
That's a good point. I wouldn't mind seeing it.
Yeah, I'd like to see it, and what it looks like. How many other proposals? Was this only one contractor who bid, or how was the process to pick these people?
This was the only contractor that responded to bid.
Don't you
Yeah,
like
so
our
we
jobs?
did reach out to several, and this was the only one. It is somebody I personally know. I think we got playground equipment from her at the academy several years ago, but it's somebody I've known for like 20 years, and she just happens to work for one of the major playground companies out of Longwood. But nobody else responded.
Sandy, do we have to have a bid when it's over 100,000 or something?
Well, it's going to depend on your purchasing policy,
Hmm.
not so much the 100,000. So normally a project of this size, you would go out and get bids, yeah.
I believe what's the amount for us, Paul? I'm trying to think, it was 100 grand, wasn't it?
Yeah, so under our contract, we could put a bid, just a 7-day advertisement bid. It's kind of a specialty project, so it's obviously council discretion. I don't think there's any state statutes that I'm aware of, because it's not considered a road public work project where we'd meet that limitation. So it'll be our own personal purchasing policy, as Tammy said.
Well, I kind of need a little time to think about it. Maybe if you can give me the list of where it's at. I'm riding all this town all the time. I can stop by and look at it. Maybe Alan would want to stop by, or Carol, or Joe. That'd be helpful. It's a big decision for us.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a stick in the mud here. So you can evil me all you want, internet me and whatever. But when I see 300,000, and I look out that back door, and we have 2.4 million, I go, 2.4 divided by 3, that's 300,000 is 1/8 of the cost of our library. And if I chop my library up in 8 little sections, I'm going, okay. The library will be used for, the playground will be used for. How do I justify for voters when we've heard from, you guys need to cut the budget, you need to look at the budget, and I'm like, then I saw there where it's like $60,000 on the other side for the upgrade, and it was like 170,000 for installation. I about fell off, and it's like $170,000 to put a playground in. I'm old school Claremont. We went to Claremont Elementary. We had a jungle gym for the boys, a jungle gym for the girls, and for as long as I remembered, we didn't have anything else. But I'm just kind of thinking that's a lot of money for us to say, hey, voters, do you want to spend $350,000 on a playground. I'm all for kids. I'd rather see them there than on video games or other stuff they're getting out. That's not my point. It's just, that's a hard thing to swallow. And I think when we're talking about roads and people need their roads paved, it's like 300,000 would do 3rd Street, 4th Street. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out. So, take the pitchforks to me, ladies. I don't mind it, but I'm just trying to be, how do we address this?
Okay, so my thought is, obviously construction costs are high right now, right? We all know that.
Yep.
This includes not only installation, it's the curbing, it's the prep of the ground, there's a lot, there's dumpsters, I mean, all of it, right? So it is a very expensive project. When you compare it towards the library is beautiful, we're so excited for it. Have you gone by Kirk Park after school? It's packed with kids every day. So how many kids are in the library every day? I'm just saying, I hope that they come and support our library. It's beautiful, but the park is getting used every single day.
Well, this is the kind of one thing. I would like to, as a councilman spending taxpayers' dollars to say, the prep work, okay, walk me through the prep work. Can these people say, okay, we have to do 37 hours of bulldozer leveling, laser leveling, perfecting it up, all this stuff, that if that's included, I'd like to see kind of a contractual, just here's this, that, it turns out, and it's a beautiful thing. I got that, but the reason is Paul's fault. It's right over, it's your fault, Paul, because you've told us how to do things town, in-house, and save money, so.
I've actually constructed a playground this size, and I will never do it again. You couldn't pay me $180,000 to do it. It's the most miserable thing. Nothing lines up. Nothing goes together right. It's never do it again. But just a note, part of it is out of general fund that's already budgeted in the Parks and Rec. I think there's 150 that's in the general fund in our Parks and Rec, and the other whatever that is, 90,000 is in administrative impact, and that's only can be used for parks. So.
Can we teach in pickleball?
We
Pickleball
budgeted,
courts are full.
how much did we budget for this last year? 240?
Well, it's this year's budget, yes, 240, correct.
So this, first of all, awesome. Like, it was beautiful and everything there. I don't want to, you broke the door, so.
Well, I want to interrupt. Thank you, because nobody wants to be on the committee. Okay, I'm sure you've going, all 4 of us showed up and there's 15 on the committee, where's the other 11? I get that. So I commend you for the perseverance, and I understand being on P&Z years ago and all through here, it's a lot of work, and everybody wants the McDonald's arch, but they want to pay paupers for the golden arch. So, and it's hard to say to balance things, and then from children's point of view, you guys have got a heart for them, which I really appreciate. That you guys are perfect for that. We need those kind of people instead of grumpy old men to do those kind of things. We give them a rope and a stick and say, go play. But anyway, thank you for that.
So, yeah, for me, the hardest part for me to swallow here is that it's 25%, well, it's actually more than 25% with the upgraded ground covering and everything, but it was 25% more than we budgeted for. And sort of what Alan mentioned, people have said, what about our roads? And I guess the question I have is, could we do trees? I mean, that's what we sort of told residents to, do trees for things, as for shade. I know it's going to take some time to grow in, but maybe we can get bigger trees.
Right. There are laws there are rules. It has to be 7 foot. The tree has to be 7 foot higher than the tallest structure as well, because even when we did the site visit, that oak tree that's over, she said we would have to push it out or trim the tree up greatly. But there is only one oak tree that is giving that area any shade. And there is a no shade option as well. So if you go to the first one right there, that's the one with no shade. And so then you're looking at either 219,000 if you do the half solid surface and half mulch, or if you do mulch only, it's 173,000. So we're well under budget on something like that. It also doesn't have the 4th bay on the swing set with the flex swing, and that is another ADA accessible item.
So get those numbers again, with and without?
With what you see right there is 219,537, and then mulch only is $173,538.
But neither one of those includes the ADA swings.
That one has the two. It doesn't have on the other one, it had a fourth bay that has that funky swing on the end, the flex swing. It has to have its own bay because it's too wide. So that one doesn't have the flex swing, but it does have the two ADA swings.
It could be added later, right? The big one.
We wouldn't, not really, because of the curbing and everything that will be in, it'd be too big to add a fourth one in.
How much was that one again? I'm sorry.
It's fine. 219,537 if, just like what you see, with the half mulch, half pit. And then mulch only is 173,538, which is well under budget.
Well, now, you ladies were
For
there.
both.
I read in the proposal, one of the fine print that said, for the tarp on top needs to be removed at owner's expenses prior to hurricanes because it only withstands 75-mile-an-hour winds. If we're putting that back under the oak trees back there, did you ladies see that there's really a need for the shade, or would the oak trees be conducive enough to block shade? and
There's
filter?
only one oak tree. We're not putting it on the far side near the other, it's going in the outfield. It's going in left field. So there's only one tree that during sundown, they might get some shade, but there's no other trees out there. It's pure open field. And we also wanted to keep it in that area so that the food trucks and everything can still fit for Montverde days. It won't encroach in theirs, but that would be a huge play area. But that is a second option if we don't do the sunshade. Yeah, which does save a lot of money.
Well, how about we just think about it and bring it to the budget, and then we talk about it some more. I mean, it's obviously a lot to swallow right now.
And in the interim, if you guys wouldn't do as Mr. Hartle suggested, and see if we can, get,
Sure, we can send you the list of other playgrounds tomorrow.
the
Where you
list
guys
and-
want to go out and visit some of them, sure.
Yeah, the cost from womb to tomb, so to say.
Yeah, these costs it's everything.
Okay.
It's just if you want to see other playgrounds that they've built. And again, I even reached out to another company last week that does other commercial playgrounds. They have not responded.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just hard to find labor. I think it's the biggest issue.
This time of year, absolutely. But yeah, a list of where we can find them.
And I can send you the updated numbers too. We were able to get the numbers down a bit since after I sent this over to Paul. And then the mulch only option, of course, too.
So you're gonna do a picture and the price?
Yeah, I
and then
have it all for you.
And then the locations where we can go look at them?
Uh-huh.
That sounds good, and then we'll have to be more educated to make a decision.
In the contract that they presented, I would like to see for warranties also, what the warranty exclusions are or not. It's
Okay.
a 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, which I don't think it'd be, but just curious. I don't want to get into something and like a year later, everything's broke. It's like, come on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, we'll also ask them to get a price for the whole entire, so right now, the blue area is the, kind of that rubber mat. You've been at the playground, and the other parts, it's kind of a compacted mulch that we'll have them get a price for. The whole thing is the rubber ADA mat that could be ridden over just from a maintenance standard long-term, especially in our park with lots of leaves and oaks and things like that. Just from the maintenance seems a whole lot easier because we do fight the rubber mulch is great, but it's so hard to get the acorns out of it and things like that. It's a challenge. Where this could be just blown off in a couple minutes if the whole thing was like that.
If we go visit them, we'll be able to get
Yes.
an idea on that.
Yep.
All right.
You'd have cameras there?
Hmm?
We'd put cameras there?
Already there?
Perfect.
You guys okay with it? No?
Yep.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
Okay, let's go ahead and review our bill paying process.
Sure. Council, I just wanted to bring this up just to make aware. I've been kind of seeing some, or been hearing about some, I haven't even read them, some unusual posts on Facebook, and I just want to clarify all of our checks and balances that we have in bill paying. I think our council does a tremendous job at check and balances, and so does our town staff. So I just wanted to quickly review, the bill paying process once an invoice comes in, and make sure everybody's aware of the process and how we do that and the process we follow. So when an invoice comes in, so I'm just going to kind of walk you through the process. So an invoice comes in for payment. That goes through our accounting director, our finance director, Mai. So she'll look at that invoice and she'll categorize it into what budget category it goes into. And if it's not clear, then she'll bring it to me, especially a larger invoice, to make sure it's going in the right budget category. After that is done, that invoice is then put into the computer system under the budget category, the line item that it comes out, and it's put in the queue to have the check printed. Once the check is printed, the check is paper clipped along with all the invoices, and if there's a payment authorization or a PO or some on the larger ones, I'll do those ahead of time. Those are paper clipped together with the check. That stack of checks is presented to the mayor. The mayor sees the invoices, or the vice mayor if the mayor's not available. It's usually Mayor Weinkoop. The mayor reviews those checks, looks at them with the invoices. If I'm not there to answer the questions or have he'll leave a sticky note on it for clarification before he signs. After those are signed, sometimes I do it first, sometimes he does it first. I will go through the stack of checks. I do the same things. I match up the invoice. I look to make sure they're in the final budget category, make sure everything looks good. Then that stack is handed back to finance. Finance goes through, processes, gets the payment checks out. Then the next step is it's put on your monthly check register report that the council reviews. So you're the next line in that check and balance for the town's finances. So you all get a finance report. It's in your council packet today. It shows what year to date, what came out this month to date, year to date, where we're at. You can look at, ooh, that was a big lightning. You can look at where the money's coming out in the categories. Then the final process in that, every year we have the auditor come through. Then the auditor looks at the books. She looks for things to flag, looks for clarification. She'll run sample runs to make sure the processes were involved and the checks were involved and so on. So I just want to make it clear, because I sometimes I see some things popping on the internet that I'm scratching my head. This town does a very good job at protocols. I think one of the best of making sure that there's multiple layers of steps in the process. It's not perfect, nothing is, but I think we do a good job, you guys as council, and we make that whole entire finance report available for the public, completely transparent and open for everybody to see, and you guys are kind of that part of that finance review process. So it's an important process you do. And again, as you go through those finance reports, if you don't understand something, you need clarity about something, as many of you have done many times. I think everybody in this room has called me and asked me about something, and I appreciate that. Please, continue to do that. I encourage that. So any questions on the processing? That's more just putting it out there for the public to understand that we do have a pretty rigorous process for the reviews of every check that's written.
No, we have a pretty tight process. Okay. How about approval for a library construction vendor list?
So this is just our updated and probably will be our second to our final vendor list for the library that we have. And I got to get to it. I apologize. I'm a little behind. So you should have a vendor list in front of you. I'm still digging for mine. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have. So this is a continue running list. These aren't new vendors. We just keep adding to the list as we go through. The council approved the $2.45 million budget for the library, all paid with grants and impact fees. We're at the final run where we're pulling furniture in, and we look like we're going to be completely on budget for the library. Thank you. But I'll be glad to answer any questions. It's just keeping you up to date who the various vendors are. This is, through a lot of this is contracts, bid processes, or just capital procurement. We're really what's changed on here is the cabinets, furniture. We're getting the small stuff kind of going forward here. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I have one actually.
Okay.
One of the things in here that I had a little bit of an issue with was there's a 20% contingency in here. And again, I'm not suggesting, again, the budget is $2.45 million, but you're asking to part of this is to approve this with a 20% contingency, not to exceed the budget. I just sort of, I would rather put the contingency aside on the approval of this, and essentially it's about $490,000 that we wouldn't really have any oversight into on this. So for me, I just, yeah, I have an issue with that part. That's the only part I have, though.
So the just to be clear, the remaining obligation, so it's not for the whole 245, the remaining obligation that's left is $643,000. And so the contingencies, occasionally we have someone items run over, but it's never to exceed it's not 2.45 million plus a 20% contingency. It's just saying that any line item, we may have it may be $1,000 and we may end up being $1,200, for the purchase. And so that's all that contingency. So it wouldn't change the bottom line. We would float it from one, we would decrease one and increase another. But either way, if that's how the council wants to do it, it's fine. 'Cause these do got a little bit high, I hope, because I tried to, consider, I've been getting quotes and prices, so we're kind of, we're at the end. Those are the prices, but sometimes they knocked a hole in the wall, had to do some repairs, and that was a little extra, just little stuff like that.
That was the only concern that I had on this.
Sure. And I appreciate John. I compliment. He's been working for the town. He's done a phenomenal job at keeping our costs down. And I just can't say enough. And we look at the numbers, 2.45 million for an 8,000 square feet, and it sounds high. And and again, I'll bring up. I've said this at other meetings. Lake County just did Astor Library 6,000 square feet, and 4.6 million is because they had to go through all the procurement process. And I think ours. I haven't seen Astor's. Is ours compared to theirs? It looks nice.
I like Astor, but this one's going to be nicer.
So
Nice save. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it is. Seriously.
Does John want to do playgrounds?
I don't think you can pay him enough. Have you done a playground, John? No, he will never do it. It is the worst.
Liabilities for playgrounds.
Yeah, you got a lot of liability. If something's 3 inches high, the insurance company's going to say, what are you going to do? So it's tough because they are inspected by our insurance companies. They walk through every year and look at our playground, every aspect of it, and give us a list of things we need to fix. So.
All right, so are we okay with voting on approval of the library construction vendor list?
With or without the contingency?
Hmm?
With or without the contingency?
Either way, you said.
Okay. Can I make a motion?
Yeah.
All right. I move to approve the vendor list with the condition that council is notified before any of the contingency funds are spent.
Okay, I've got a motion. Need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Okay, ayes have it.
Thank you, council. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And just for your records, there's a 8.5 by 11, and that's the detail spreadsheet where every single thing is going through, so you can follow every single invoice and every single check. So that's just a part of our check and balance. So I encourage you to keep an eye on that. That matches up with what you see here.
All righty, great. Sandy, would you mind reading ordinance 2025-50?
Yep. This is ordinance 2550, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Florida, adopting the Town of Montverde, Florida Development Impact Fee Study dated April 2025, prepared by Wildan, adopting the Town of Montverde, Florida Water Impact Fee Study dated April 2025 by Wildan, amending Chapter 16 of the Town of Montverde Code of Ordinances, incorporating legislative findings, adopting updated impact fees for transportation, parks and recreation, and administrative, adopting updated water connection fees, also referred to as water impact fees, providing for annual adjustment of fees, providing for codification, severability, and conflicts, and providing for an effective date, and this is first reading.
All righty, well, thank you very much. You want to go explain this, Paul?
Sure. So thank you, Mayor. This is our impact fee increases. We've had 2 workshops on these where we did full presentations. So Mayor, I do have Tara Hollis with Will down here. If you would like, she can do a full presentation, a condensed presentation, or a very brief presentation. Since we've already had this at 2 workshops, I'll leave that up to the council if you would like to, because we also will have one more hearing, and she can do another presentation at that if you would like as well.
Well, it's up to you guys. I was okay with the last presentation.
I would second that.
Are you okay with
I'm
those?
good with short, yeah.
Alan, you're okay with it? Well,
Or
but we
brief,
appreciate you
yeah.
coming. So we'll
You
move
did a
on.
great job on the first two presentations.
very
so
thorough.
Thank you.
I'm just going to slowly click through the slides as you have your discussion, just so everyone can kind of see what was discussed. So, but you guys can continue your discussion if you like.
Okay, while he's flipping, then I'll ask the questions. Back in January of 2018, we as a town did pass an ordinance to do CPI adjustments every year in April. We didn't do them. Is that something we can ensure we're going to do going forward so we don't get behind like this?
We have done them every year.
We do. We just didn't raise them.
Okay, all right, now, can
Yeah,
you
we have to
raise
say
it?
it. We have to do it, but we don't,
All right.
we have to raise it every
All
year.
right.
Yeah, and I have since since I've been here. The ordinance does account every April to raise it with CPI. I have been doing them since I've been here. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't. I think the mayor. I think you did yours too when you were strong mayor.
Mhm.
Sorry, should I get through these?
Not really. I'm pretty cool. I think everybody's pretty
Okay.
educated on it. We'll open it up to the public. Anybody want to talk about increasing impact fees for new homes that are being built?
And just for our public, these are the fees that when a new home is built, developer or otherwise, are paid by the developer to offset the cost to the town for additional things like parks, expansion of roads, streets, et cetera. So.
John Orlano, 17531, County Road 455. My only question would be, what's going to be the policy on prepays?
Well, you don't have to pay the increase then. That's
So
how I see it.
Are you going to allow it?
So my understanding is from the attorney, you cannot prepay impact fees.
Really?
This won't go in effect till 90 days after the second reading, so you got like 100 and something days, and maybe I think Anita mentioned that. And maybe Tara, do you have any thoughts on that? Can we do that or not? Can you It's at the time of permit is when impact fees are assessed.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
But again, you'll have, 90 days after the second reading, so that'll take you into
So you're gonna be
October-ish.
July, so it'll be August, September, October.
Yeah. And if a building permit is submitted before the impact fee takes effect, they will get the old impact fee rate. It's just anything submitted after that is done.
Okay, so pretty much this is gonna be for 130-something homes on Osgood, maybe 115 homes of Bella Colina, and then the party's over for the impact fees. All right, well, I'll bring it back to council. I need a motion if you want to move it forward for the first reading.
I
make the
so
motion.
make a motion, ordinance 2025-50 be approved as first read.
The motion, I
I'll
need a
second.
second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Okay, ayes have it. If you would, please, Sandy, 2025-57.
Mayor, 2025-57, an ordinance of the Town of Montverde, County of Lake, State of Florida, providing for amendment of the Town of Montverde Charter by creating a new section that requires a supermajority vote of Town Council of any comprehensive plan amendment that increases the allowable density within the municipal boundaries of the Town of Montverde, requesting the supervisor elections to place the ballot language on the ballot for the November 4th, 2025 regular election, providing for severability and conflicts, providing for inclusion in the charter, providing for an effective date. And this too is a first reading.
All right, well, thank you very much. Just to remind everybody, this is the charter change to have a super majority to vote on a yes or no on any density change going forward, once we do this. So we want to put this on the ballot for this November, and we want the charter, the residents to change the charter to, let's say the 10 acres on Ridgewood, 5 years from now, somebody wants to build more than 2 homes per acre. That would take a supermajority, 4 out of 5 of the people up here to okay that. making it a lot more difficult to get it okayed. So really, not, you can't say it wouldn't do it, but it'd be hard to do. Let me open it up to the public. Anybody want to talk about it? I love this one. I love this one. Okay, I'll bring it back. Council, anybody want to talk about it?
I just want a clarification. I think Anita said this, or Paul, I'm not sure, but the town cannot advertise in favor, yes or no. So if you're in favor of this, I think it was expressed that the council can push it or not push it, whatever our views want to be. Is that what I understood?
That way I understand it too, and Paul explained it, and I think Anita explained it, that we can't advertise it in favor or not in favor in our newsletter.
Right.
Okay, but on my personal Facebook page, I can advertise it, that I like it. Is that true, Sandy?
That's correct. You can, on your own, do it, but the town itself needs to.
Cannot be
Okay.
entity forcing it behind it.
Okay.
Yeah, so what you won't see it in a town newsletter, just even the information about it saying, hey, there are charter amendments coming up, be aware of it. We won't promote it, advertise or anything. So that's up to the residents. I know everybody here cares a lot about this town. That's going to be really up to you and the council to get that information out verbally or ever how you want to on your property. But the town cannot legally spend any money to promote it one way or the other.
Right. So that's really it.
I just wanted to get that explained so people will go, well, how come you didn't press? I never saw it pushed. That's
No,
why.
good point. Anybody got anything else? Okay, I make a motion that we approve this ordinance.
So second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. Alrighty. Let's, if you would please, 2025-55.
It's 25-55, an ordinance of the town of Montverde, Florida, amending regulations in Chapter 10 of the town of Montverde Land Development Code relating to setbacks for accessory structures, providing for codification and severability, providing for the repeal of ordinance in conflict herewith, and providing for an effective date. And this is the second and final reading.
Thank you very much. Can you go ahead and explain this one?
Sure, may I defer to Mr. Parks? Would you like to do
Sure.
just a quick summary of that?
Again, second reading, this would change, if you approve tonight, change section 10.82D. Essentially, the minimum yard setback in the rear would be 15 feet instead of 25 feet. And if you remember, we went through one of the past hearings, we had some diagrams of what that, there we go, of what that might look like. And the Planning and Zoning Board landed on 15 feet. You approved 15 feet as well at the last hearing, so this is obviously the second reading for that. And that's the only part of the code that changes.
Alrighty, I'll open it up to the public. Anybody like to talk about it? Okay, I'll bring it back to council. Any discussion? If not, I need a motion.
Yeah, I have a couple things on this one. I
Okay.
didn't notice at the first reading. It's more than just the setbacks that are changing on this. Some of the things that I saw were design style requirements, must match house color. Correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, on this one, but it must match house color, style, and materials. Temporary storage units, or structures, I'm sorry, temporary storage. On the old way, we had no formal time limit or rules specified. On this one, it's max 60 consecutive days, 120 a year.
Yeah, real quick, Mr. Morganelli. So when we do these code changes, what we do is we show you the entire section of the code. So what you're reading there is actually in the code. And so what we are changing is underlined or crossed out. So if you look on section D, I believe that is the only change to the actual code.
It is, yeah.
Is that correct, Sean?
Right. The
Okay.
architectural and all that's been code for a couple years, probably 4 or 5 actually.
Yeah. So we just don't want to put a paragraph out there in without you understanding what the full code already is, because that way you can at least have some basis if you're discussion. So yeah, in D, the only thing that's underlined, and there's one thing crossed out. So those are the changes to the current code. Obviously, if you have other concerns, we can always bring those back separately to look at those.
Right. The biggest thing for me, just as I was reading all, was just I don't want to see our town, people that, no offense to those that are in an HOA, but I just don't want to see our town turn into an HOA with some, with getting super strict on rules, that's all. That was my only
I
concern.
think what you kind of were describing, and just give you a little background discussion where that came out of, we were seeing a lot of metal buildings, and we didn't have anything with color. So before that was written, you could put like an orange or pink metal building up and in any district in town. So that's why when it got to a certain size, it was put in their similar architectural style of the current housing, so they kind of match the flavor for what's in the area, because usually the houses kind of have some themes in those areas, and that way they kind of match along. So that was why council put that in a few years ago.
Okay. All right. That's all. I'm just leery of turning us into an HOA, that's all.
That's a good point.
That clear then? Is okay then? Okay. You guys?
Good.
Okay. Anybody here want to talk about it? Okay. I guess I need a motion.
Ordinance 2025-55, I so move as approved for second reading.
Got a first, I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against say nay.
Nay.
Okay, ayes have it. All right, if you would please, Sandy, 2025-176.
Yes, Resolution 2025-176, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Florida, vacating portions of 6th Street, Franklin Avenue, 5th Street, and certain alleys in blocks 3, 4, and 7 in Division C, all as shown on the unrecorded plat of the Town of Montverde, Lake County, Florida. Vesting of title, providing for severability, providing for conflicts and scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date. And this, too, I believe, is a first reading.
Alrighty, this is, well, go ahead and explain it.
Sure. So this has been a project I've been working on for a couple years, as a kind of our whole park and a kind of overlay map. And it's kind of a cleanup process we're going through. The color map you're looking at, before you look at, I'm going to point out, there is one thing on the map that's an error. So it's not, it's just an error on the map of what you're reading in your resolution is correct. The little alley all the way to the right top, that is not being vacated. So when you look at the legal descriptions in your book, I had they're just for the alleys, and you'll see that as you go through. So what we're doing is we're going through our town park, which is, goes back to the old lot and block days, and we're trying to clean up. We have alleys and streets running through buildings, and it's just kind of been hodgepodged over the years. So this is going to, once you vacate the roads, we're going to do some type of lot combination or survey or a plat. Anita and Sean are still figuring out what that process is. And we're going to create one lot that's going to be the town park. So when we look at building and stuff, we know what we have. We don't have a bunch of streets running through it, a bunch of alleys running through it. So we're just trying to clean up what we have there.
Doesn't if we vacate the property in between that rear house and the front house, doesn't that our things say that we have to give that property to that person?
Yeah, so the state laws, I'll let Sandy correct me if I'm wrong here, anytime you vacate a property, the property that you vacate, the right-of-way is split down the middle, and each property owner on each side gets half of it. Is that correct, Sandy? Am I saying that correct?
I think in this case that's correct. The only time that wouldn't work is if you were at the edge of the plat, then it might all go to one side, but these are all in the middle, so it would be split halfway.
So these are all going to the town, and remember that one is just on this color map, but in your documents of what you're approving, it does not include that little alley, just to be clear.
Which that little alley?
So at the top right, that's between the two houses. So
okay,
that's
right.
Just in this picture. The stuff you're vacating that's actually in the ordinance,
just making
your
sure.
exhibits,
Okay.
is not being vacated.
Right. That was my point. Okay.
And just curiosity, educational question, the little cutout corner right there on the curve of Franklin, is that way just because that's where the street is?
Yeah, just as they look at the legal descriptions and do it, all the alleys and blocks are in sections, and that's just kind of where the cutoff was. It'd be nice if that kind of went through, but we still actually have a section at Franklin Street that's still there, so he needs to leave that in there because it's there. Then the other one that we're vacating, we're obviously going to leave the street that goes by Public Works. It's just going to be more of a drive back there and not necessarily a street.
Now, if Anita was here, I'd ask her, but I have to ask you, Sandy. What disadvantages is it to us to vacate that property, in your opinion?
Well, in this case, the city owns all the adjacent property, so there would be no disadvantage at all.
Okay. All right, I'll open it up to the public. Anybody want to talk about it? Okay, bring it back to council. Any discussion?
Hey, Sandy, got a quick question for you. Third line of there, it says, as shown on the unrecorded plat of the town of Montverde. How can you have an unrecorded plat?
Well, there were a couple ways. One, Lake County used to be part of Sumter County, and there was a fire in the Sumter County courthouse, and so a lot of times there were plats that may have been burned. The other way is people often had a drawing and conveyed lots by that drawing, but the drawing itself was never recorded in the public records, but over time it became accepted as the plat. So usually it's one of those two ways.
I was just curious. It just kind of sounded kind of unrecorded, and everything is recorded, so, but, yeah, thank you. I wasn't there, of course, for the burning of the Sumter County, but just for clarification for those who, yeah.
Good point.
All right, you great. Anybody want to talk about this? All right.
So I have a question in reference to the wording of this. It states in here, used for Kirk Park, the library, and the sports courts. The library's done, and the sports courts, as far as I know, are done. So I guess the question I have is it just the wording you're using in here?
Yeah, it's just saying, they're just saying that we're using the pieces that we're vacating. She just want to put the uses, so it's been for the library and the sports courts in the park. There are some deed restrictions in the land. Kirk Park was donated, and I've researched back the deeds, and it was quite a bit ago. I think it was a combination of Hardin family, and anyway, some of the founding families, and they have stipulation that it can only be used for park and recreational facilities. So that's probably why you see a little bit of a reference to that in there. But yeah, we just want people to know we're not vacating it to sell it, to use it for commercial development or houses. We're vacating it for the purpose of pulling our park together with the library.
I guess part of the road, Franklin, I think that's Franklin from what I can see from her. I'd like, again, I don't own a golf cart, but I think it would be neat if we had golf cart path through the park. Just me personally, looking at some of that, we already have the road, maybe with parking for the golf carts, and again, it would be nice, like I said, eventually if the council decides to move forward with the golf cart driving through the whole town, or what areas they can, it would bring everything into town together for that. That's just something that I was thinking about, looking at those things. But I mean, the reason I'm mentioning that is before we go and rip everything up, I mean, I'm assuming that's what's going to happen. We're going to rip the roads up before we do that.
No roads are going to change from what they are now. So whatever is gone is gone. So everything is done in the park is how it's going to be. It's just, you know, and one of the reasons it's just it causes issues because when you can see right now we're having trouble getting the septic permit for the outside bathroom because right now the building is sitting in the middle of a roadway. And they're working with us to get to it, but it's just like, they're like, how can you put a bathroom in a road? And I was like, well, so's my whole park, so's my public works building, you know, so that's why it's time to get it cleaned up because it's just been, you know, used over time. That's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
And once all this is done, will that technically be just one plot?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah, so it'll be just one platted, surveyed lot that will be called, you know, Montverde Park, Kirk Park, or whatever.
It'll be clean.
Yeah. So right now, if you look at all the multiple lots we have running through there.
Zoning's going to change?
No.
No. This is vacating the roads. Then we'll either bring back a plat or what's the other word Anita said when you.
Aggregation of lots.
Okay, yeah, and we might be able to do that internally where basically when you look at the GIS, you pull the GIS, it's going to show it as one lot instead of 1, 2, 3, 5 different lots. and roadways.
With an institutional zoning, probably, yeah.
Yeah, and zoning's already institutional, that won't change. Or public facilities, I think it might be.
Or public, yeah, right, institutional land use.
All righty, well, we're all set. We need a motion if we want to move this forward.
Well, motion, resolution 2025-176, I so move to be approved.
The first and the second.
I second.
We got 2 seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against say nay. Ayes have it. And last but not least, 2025-171.
Resolution 2025-171, resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Florida, amending the 2024-2025 fiscal year budget pursuant to Section 5.05 of the Town Charter to transfer funds from general fund revenues to various general fund departments for increased expenditures, providing for a decrease of administrative impact fees and parks impact fees, and account for an increase in revenues for reimbursement from insurance and receipt of an FDEP grant, providing for an effective date.
All righty, well, I'm going to definitely let Paul explain this one.
Sure. So, Council, I did provide you a detailed staff report. Hopefully you had a chance to look at that. So we're a little halfway through the budget year, so these are just budget amendments for either funds we got in or changes or stuff Council has asked for to be done. So the first one is for the FEMA cleanup and repairs. And so those are unexpected funds that we had to expend at the beginning of the year because of the Hurricane Milton. FEMA should reimburse us for most of those funds as we work through the process like they did on the last hurricane. The next one is the library project for our library. So this amount brings us to the total of $2,450,000. And the reason we did this right now at the last year, we didn't know what money we were going to spend out of last year's budget because we didn't know when the invoices come in, and the budget's already 2 months, 3 months through the process. So it's kind of a guesstimation, and we talked about how we'll kind of bring this in and clean this up. So it brings, for instance, last year we had money in permitting for the library budget, but we didn't use any of it out of permitting because we tried to get rid of the grant first. And we have it in permitting because we have a permitting office, and we have to use some of those funds or they have to be returned. So that's why it's on the permitting. The next one's the impact admin fees. So that's the administration impact fees. It's allocating the rest of those fees toward the library fund for the library project, again, to bring it to a total of $2,450,000. The town administration, now I'm going to have to look at my staff report there. I think that was a combination of the new roof, and sorry, let me look at that staff report there. New roof, the stone, and there was one other thing there. Excuse me real quick while I find that. Sorry. There it is. Okay. There was one other thing in there. Okay, so yeah, we had the increase allocate that council approved, $125,000 for the new roof for town hall, $30,000 for assistant for administrative staff position, which is Caroline. We had that discussion, and $75,000 for the lightning strike on the town hall. So the lightning strike is being reimbursed by our insurance company. We still have some to be done, mainly the lights outside. We're working on those today, and so we should see most of that reimbursed from the lightning strike that we had. So we had computers that were hit, some different things on the lightning. And then finally, the lead line replacement, that was a grant, and so we got that grant. It wasn't budgeted for, so we'll have the grant money in there. The outdoor park restrooms, we had it in last year's budget, and it just got missed in this year's budget. Just being truthful on that, for some reason, we just didn't stick it in the budget. So that was the amount council approved. We're, I think, at $85,000 on that with the septic left the most done, so we're probably, hopefully, under budget on that. In the special events, that was brought before council. Council agreed to increase that budget by $25,000 just to help do some of the celebrations we did for 100th year centennial, such as the 100-year birthday party and things along that line. So I'd be glad to answer any questions you would have on the amendment.
Alrighty, I'm going to open it up to the public. Anybody wants to talk about it? Back to council. Go ahead.
Sorry, that was a mouthful.
Yeah, no, so I have two things. One was the FEMA reimbursement.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a plan if they decide not to repay that?
We have to eat it.
All right.
Yeah, and so the process is slow. So we've already gone through the first tier of approval. I think there's 4 or 5 tiers. Sandy could probably explain that one a little better to you, but we've already worked through, actually we're a little further along on the reimbursement for all the cleanup. And usually we get back more than what we spend, and Sandy takes great detail. I will give Sandy a kudos on this because we get to reimburse the staff prep time, our overtime, all that stuff we get turned in, even though it comes out of the general. So a lot of times we actually get a little bit more than what we have budgeted for. So, you know, the big elephant in the room is what are they going to do about the dock? And, you know, it's just been trying to get any answers has been really bad right now. We're hoping it's going to get better.
The last one I had was just at the 125K. I'm assuming you like made changes as far as make sure it goes into the, things don't get missed from a budget like going forward, right? That's the question I have.
Yeah, and so we thought the library would be further along, or excuse me, the bathroom would have been further along, and we would have had that money spent, and it was an oversight. We just didn't stick it in the budget. I mean, obviously, we started last year, but we didn't have any invoices come in,
and it was approved. Just so
yeah, it was approved. It just was a number that was missed, and I believe it's out of impact fees too. So, thank you.
All right.
Any other questions?
You're good? Okay. All righty. And then need a motion or to approve or not to approve?
Once again, Resolution 2025-171, I so move to be approved as discussed.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. Anybody else want to talk to the council before we end the meeting? All righty, well, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Bingo.
And council, as you leave, no more meetings for June. We will have 3 meetings in July. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
No, you did. Thank you very much. What's that?